Hi, my name's Femi, aka Hackfemo. I'm 12 years old, and I set up my business about a year ago. So this is the title of my talk. I just wanted to say, and wanted to sort of ask the question, are 12-year-olds really too young to influence the future of cybersecurity? Before I get into it, I'm going to introduce myself very quickly. So I started coding when I was 8. When I was 9, I set up South London Raspberry Jam to share my passion for coding with other young people who might not otherwise be exposed to technology. Since then, run literally hundreds of coding and robot workshops across the UK and globally. There we go. In 2017, I was awarded an inaugural Legacy Downer Award by their Royal Highnesses Prince William and Prince Harry for my service to the community. So we welcome young people with autism or, like me, Tourette syndrome, because coding linked me up to a wider community of like-minded people. And to be honest, I was just trying to do the same for those who might also benefit from this. So, in fact, it's been quite a journey from South London to the world-famous Tate Modern Museum, where I did a 2-day conference for young coders across the country, across the UK even, to Bangladesh, where I taught over 200 street kids how to code, and also all the way to America, San Francisco, where I did a keynote to over 7,000 delegates at the Red Hat Summit 2018, and then here in Manchester. So yeah, today I'm going to talk to you a bit about some things, but on my journey over about 3 years running robot workshops, even 4 years now, I've noticed it's increasingly important for young coders to have collaborative and community-led initiatives. So having things within their own community that they can go to, meet other young coders, be able to network, working collaboratively on projects. And also, having career-ready skills, because for young people, we're going to have to face the problems of tomorrow, and being ready for them, it's one of those things we've got to do. So I'm going to talk about, I can't actually remember all of the names of my slides, but I'm going to talk about the cyber effect on young people. I'm going to talk about some cool hackers who are also very young, as young as 5. Also, I'm going to talk about their influences and pathways. So why are young people perhaps becoming black hats or white hats? And why are they hacking? Also, I'm going to talk about what we can do, what the steps in the right direction, and finally, I'm just going to talk about some of the stuff I'm doing. So yeah, the cyber effect. So in fact, I've been reading this book recently by Dr. Mary Akins, Professor Mary Akins, and it's about sort of the effect of being on devices all day and things like that on young people, and the internet. So the first one is amplification and being anonymous. So on the internet, going on the internet amplifies certain behaviors because you don't think anyone knows who you are. In fact, in true reality, you can actually find out who's on the other side and who you're talking to. However, because you think you're anonymous, this makes you do things you perhaps wouldn't do in the real world. So that's certain things like cyberbullying, things like that. Also, there's a normalization of deviant and antisocial behavior. So, in a community, online, it stretches across the whole world. So if you've got something like extremist views that are perhaps racist or something like that, you will always find other people who have the exact same views or similar views to you on the internet. And that normalizes that behavior if you're in a group. So also there's access to the dark side of the World Wide Web. So things like Google and search engines, they aren't designed to be used by five-year-olds. They aren't designed to be used by, to be honest, under 18s. Because they don't know how old the person on the other side is. And sometimes they return, age-inappropriate things. And, it's really easy to just slide between the white hat side and the black hat side fairly easily. You know, it's certain innocent things, so-called innocent things like, you know, just wanting to put a mod onto Minecraft or beat your friends in a game by using a cheat. So in this way, many people see the internet as sort of a Wild West. It's kind of like lawless, and it seems like there's not many laws, especially to young people. They don't really see it as doing something wrong. So also, there's a lot of stuff around addiction with young people. So in fact, one of the main things I always say when I'm talking about addiction is the people who designed devices and the internet don't let their kids go on it. And I'm fairly sure that's for a reason. You know, it's because, you know, going on the internet, not only just because, well, being addicted to stuff, and especially going on devices, gives you sort of poor social and communication skills. And this even happens within adults. You know, if you're on the devices and not giving your kids face-to-face time, it actually like slows down their development and things like that. And finally on this slide, also for young people, an iPad or a device is generally used as sort of a pacifier. So if my brother ever goes on the iPad in the morning and you try and take it off him to get him ready for school, like, it's never going to end well. It's always going to be him screaming or having a fit. So some amazing young hackers. So first one's 12 years old, from Canada. And this 12-year-old boy actually launched a series of DDoS attacks against the Canadian government website. And he caused a shutdown for 2 days. And this was literally just him going online, you know, looking this sort of stuff up. And you know what? Over 2 days, the Canadian government lost $260,000. I mean, that's just... And do you know why he did it? He sold all the information to Anonymous just to get video games. And then we have 12-year-old Wang. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. So this boy, he's seen as a Chinese hacking prodigy. He actually hacked into his school system, and then he was thrown out of school because they have a no hacking policy. But he hacked into what do you call it, like a buying website, and he changed the price from £3,000 all the way down to 1p. He didn't buy it though, so technically he hasn't done anything wrong. He just alerted the owners of the security floor, and he's now a good ethical hacker. There's also, you see, we're getting younger. So Sci-Fi is just 10 years old, and she's hacked multiple iOS and Android games and exposed critical vulnerabilities. So you know when you play games, and it's like in 10 hours you're going to get your next reward? Well, she found out you can manually put your clock time forward and get that reward earlier. Okay, we've gone back up. So this boy is from a 15-year-old boy from Austria, and you know, his motivation for doing an attack, which actually he entered the sites of 259 companies in less than 3 months. And you know, his only motivation was to get points in a hacking forum, so to sort of raise his social status. Go. 7. And then it goes back up to 15. So Channel 5 actually carried out a study with a 7-year-old girl, and they challenged her to hack into the Wi-Fi. Now, all she did was immediately went onto YouTube, looked up a tutorial, and then within 10 minutes and 54 seconds of starting, she hacked the Wi-Fi by setting up a rogue access point and then doing a man-in-the-middle attack to intercept your web traffic. So, I mean, this is like, you can just go on YouTube and find out how to do it. This boy, he's 15 years old. He did a bunch of DDoS attacks, that overloaded lots of famous websites, so eBay, Amazon, Dell, and lots more. But he did over £7.5 million in damage. He's also known as Mafia Boy. And then the world's youngest hacker. 5-year-old. This is literally as if hacking's child's play. This boy, he wanted to just watch some stuff on his dad's Xbox Live account and play some games, but of course he didn't know the password, so he just pressed the space bar a whole load of times, pressed enter, and hacked into it. And he's actually also the youngest security researcher listed on Microsoft's Security Tech Center. And just to think that he only did it just to go on some YouTube videos, you know, it's mad. There we go, influences and pathways. So let's have a look at why young people are actually doing this. There we go. So their motivations. So as I said, video games. Why? So it seems with young people, it's generally not for money or things like that. It's generally to raise their social status. It's generally to get video games, or to get a present, or just to prove that they can do it. Now, as I was saying earlier, for young people, there isn't really a line between black hat and white hat that they can see in their minds. So they generally end up sliding between them. So it'd be something like innocent, as I said earlier, adding a mod to Minecraft, but because you've gone and found that mod, you got into a forum where they're perhaps doing deeper stuff, and you sort of start looking into it, getting into it, but then you're sort of persuaded to do bad stuff and become a black hat. Isolation. So at the end of the day, as a young child, you're like a 12-year-old sat behind your computer, generally without your parents if you're hacking. You don't want your parents to know, and that's part of the isolation. For me, if I told my mum that I was hacking, I'd probably get in big trouble. By the way, I'm not, Mum. I'm not. So you know what? We really need to show young people the opportunities that they can get by not hacking and being white hat. We need to show them that, yeah, there's lots of opportunities, and yeah, there's big money to be a black hat. Actually, don't show them that. But, as a white hat, we need to show them that there are opportunities out there. We need to show them that they also can get into tech, because lots of people think tech isn't for them. It's only for the smart people. And we need to sort of challenge that stigma. Pathways. So, in a way, we need to give them pathways into jobs and pathways into white hat, into being white hat. So there are lots of programs in schools and things like that. It's coming on to my next point. So steps in the right direction. There are lots of programs inside schools and things like that. And yeah, they're good. However, school is seen as a bad thing for many people. Some people didn't like school. Some people get bullied at school. Some people, they just get ignored at school. Maybe they don't like school. That's why I feel like we sort of need to do this sort of stuff out of the formal education environment. Also, it's very important, diversity and inclusion. That's a subject really close to my heart. I always make sure, I'm always doing outreach programs, because it sort of creates this stigma that coding just isn't for some people. And, that's wrong. So as I was saying earlier, career-ready skills, this is really important because we are facing the next business problems. Oh, wrong way. But, having these career-ready skills and learning about them always has to be like in an inclusive environment, outside of the education environment. You've got to really make it so that young people feel as if they can get into coding, and this is why there's sort of a big shortage, big skills gap. So partnering with enterprise, this is really important because the next business problems are in enterprise and business, And as young people, not only do you need to know about them, but partnering with enterprise sort of gives a value to young people. And by doing things like hackathons or something, where the enterprise might invest in young people, give them a prize for finding a solution or finding a bug, it really makes them feel as if they've been valued. And then raising awareness as well. That's really about showing people that, yes, there's this black hat side. However, there's also a white hat side. You can be good, and it's really important that we show them that side, because generally, if you feel like tech's not for you, but you're really smart, you've got really good tech skills, that's the sort of people who are going to go on to the other side. So, young people developing community. As young people, one of the things so this is sort of more now about what I'm doing. So together as young people, we feel like there shouldn't be any passive consuming. So things like, you go to a workshop or something and you're just there because it's free, or you're just there to get the swag. Yeah, I haven't done that. I mean, I have, or haven't I? No. Also there's this sense of what is community to people, So, we've got to make them think that inclusion and diversity is sort of community, and community is really inclusive. And by throwing a wider net, you can be fully inclusive with a good representation of diversity. So also, one of the things I learned when I was in America with Red Hat was the ethos of open source. Now, this is really important because, it really makes things accessible for those who might not otherwise be exposed to technology. And the very final, my favourite point, my most important point, is that it must be youth-led. When we're talking to young people, it's so much more effective when it's peer-to-peer learning. Being youth-led, having the confidence for young people to define their own journeys and pathways in an inclusive and diverse community. So yeah, my question to you guys is, in what way can you support young coders? How can you help the next generation become white hats, not black hats, but also be ready for the future? So yeah, don't skip. There you go. So this is a project I'm working on at the moment. So I want to do my bit for my generation, and I've got to be honest, the idea for this, so essentially we want to make young coders meetups where young people get together every month and do some fun stuff, do some hacking, have some talks, and learn in a collaborative and community-led and diverse setting. But to be honest, the real idea came about because my mum gets to go to things like IBM meetups or meetups in Facebook, and if I hadn't got away from school, she probably would have come here. And I'm really jealous of that. So are loads of other young coders, because it's like free beer, free pizza. Actually, no, free pizza, free drinks. And as young people, we wanted to make our own. So that's where the idea of this has come about. And it's about, it's like a 6-month pilot, and it's all about young people defining their own pathway. So it's all youth-led, and young people make the decisions. However, it is facilitated by adults. So yeah, if you're interested in that, I just realised it's a bit hard to see the blue link at the bottom, but if you're interested in that, if you go to hackfemo.com, then there's a bit that says Young Coders Meetup crowdfunder. So, final thing I want to tell you guys about is, at the moment, I've just been, in fact, I am ARMS, so I'm sure most people know ARM. They make processors and microchips and stuff. So at the moment, I'm ARM's UK ambassador for their new project called Generation ARM 2Z. Because it's Z, you can tell it's American. So at the moment, they want to make young people between the ages of 6 to 16 cyber aware. They want to make them aware about not only the fact that there's a black hat and a white hat side, but they also want to make them aware of the problems with addiction and many things like that. So if you've got any young people or any kids between the ages of 6 to 16, I realise you can't see that link as well, but if you go to genarm2z.com, at the moment they're running a competition, and the first 250 people to answer one question, all you have to do is answer one of the questions that they give you, you get a free $100. So yeah, also check out my blog, and if you're interested, I've got some business cards. Thank you.